On today's episode, we're going to be replacing that. One of the big reasons why I'm replacing that is, yeah, it looks filthy, dirty, but this linkage is loose. You go to push down on it and you can see, I'm not sure how well the camera picks it up, but there is a lot of up and down playing that. Look at that. And one of the symptoms I've been having, this loose linkage, is my throttle will stick somewhat open. About 2,000 RPM, I gotta stick my foot under the pedal, pull the pedal up to force this back down to an idle position. It's not good. Now there are a couple of things that are going to be swapped from this carburetor over to the other one that I have that I rebuilt, and I do apologize for not having done a video series on rebuilding that, but I have this guy here. So I will more than likely be doing a video series on rebuilding this particular carburetor, even though I've already rebuilt it once, and how to repair this floppy linkage. I mean, look at that. The new carburetor, I can tell you right now, does not, the one I just rebuilt does not have that much play in it. That is a lot of play, and all I'm doing is just grabbing them up and down. And then some other things, like I replaced my fan controller, so this job here that clearly didn't work is going to be coming out. I'm going to save this pigtail and sensor because I could use it down the road for another project. I'm just going to unplug that, toss that in the good old tool cart. So one of the other things we're going to be doing is, here's the rebuilt job. As you can tell, it looks a lot cleaner than the other one, but I'm also going to be changing spark plugs. I got wires in the truck as well, so I'm going to be changing the wires because that looks ugly. So I'm going to be doing a bit of work on this. See what I can do about finding a way of bringing you guys along, because I really kind of want to show some of the work I'm doing. But and for those of you who don't know, I finally fixed this guy here, this choke circuit. Got my choke light off and got my gauges working. And the problem, which is another problem I'm going to be fixing today, stems from this wire. This is your coolant temperature sensor wire. Come on in here. Tell it's hooked into the sensor down here. But if you look, that is the result of not being routed right. Now the wire still works. I used my power probe, tested it. But yes, that is the result of the wire being laid against the hot manifold and grounding on the hot exhaust manifolds, grounding out, blowing the fuse on the fuse blocks for the gauge, causing the issue I was having since September, so almost a year now without no gauges. I finally figured it out. So I am going to be fixing that problem also today. That's either a couple ways I can do it. The wire's still good. Like I said, I tested it with my power probe. So I could just take some shrink tube, run some shrink tube over it, and shrink it down and just use the original wire. Or I could just replace a good 6 inches of the wire and call it good. It just depends on what I want to do. So first thing first is, I think I'm probably going to pull the spark plugs out and have a look at the old spark plugs and see how lean this thing's been running, because, well, that's the linkage the way it's been. This thing's been running lean. Got a big old vacuum leak right there. There where the linkage goes into the throttle plate. And I got another example of that on another throttle plate I have from another Quadrajet that I'm going to be possibly rebuilding. I don't know, but I will be doing some videos on that, on rebuilding one of these here fairly soon. But I'm going to show you how to change your Quadrajet out. So stay tuned. So I got the number one spark plug out. And through the power of the pause button, since I don't edit, this is all raw footage right off my phone, I'd have to say the cylinder one's burning fairly normal. I mean, the top, yes, this is an E3 spark plug. Top looks fairly good. I mean, the electrode looks nice and flat, no damage there. Doesn't look too bad. I mean, a type brown color indicates it's actually burning normally. So I'll pull all the rest of them and we'll have a look-see at what they look like through the power of the pause button. What'll be a couple seconds to you, be a lifetime for me. Alright, so I'm going to be putting in these just kind of cheapy NGK V-Power nickels. For the small block Chevy and at least the mid-80s era, that is the part number form for those of you who want to use these. For the E3s, I've actually had great success with these and I like them. That's the part number for the E3 plugs for these engines, mid-80s small blocks. So it's E-340. But the reason why I went with these as opposed to putting another set of those in is this engine's not going to be in this truck much longer. The 454 project's going in, and I'm going to be putting E3s in the 454, so I didn't see the need of spending, you know, $6 or so on a set of those when it's only going to be in here. And those spark plugs are not interchangeable with the 454. 454 uses a different E3 spark plug, so this is what I'm putting in. These retail for about $2.50 a piece. Is about as cheap as you're gonna get for a good spark plug. So I'm actually gonna do my own little tip video on how to install spark plugs, tips and trick video, and how to gap them and all that stuff. So let me get everything set up and we'll install this number one spark plug. Alright, I'm going to try to show you guys how to gap these things, because I get a lot of questions from people at my job where they ask me what are the best tools or best methods to gap spark plugs. So I figured I would also put together a video showing what I use to gap these. Now mind you, I gotta hold the camera with one hand, so, but your service information, your owner's manual, service manual, internet, things like that will have what gap your spark plugs are supposed to be gapped at for your engine. Spark plugs like E3s don't have to be gapped. I haven't gapped spark plugs in a while, but the concept is still the same. There are many different types of gapping tools. I have used feeler gauges for years. The gap on these spark plugs is 45 thousandths. The largest one I have is 35 thousandths, so I take a 35 thousandths feeler gauge and a 10 thousandths feeler gauge, put them together, boom, there's your 45 thousandths. And one of my feeler gauges decided to want to join the party. So I'm just going to kind of put that up like that. And when you put them together, and you basically stick them in just like that, and you should feel a little bit of resistance. See, I could pick that up, but as soon as it puts a little bit of weight on it, sorry about the shoddy camera work again, I'm only having to do this one hand, but I put that in, you should feel a little bit of resistance, not a lot, and you should still be able to yank that up. And I mean, look at that, it's holding that in place. That is gapped at 45 thousandths. Those little coin gapper tools, I've actually ruined or have damaged that electrode there in the center just above this, so that's why I use feeler gauges. They don't damage this stuff a whole lot. Plus these things I honestly think are more precise than those coin type. So if you have to adjust your gap, you can use a small set of needle nose pliers. Don't be tempted to put a screwdriver in between here and here, because that electrode is soft and you can damage it. There are special tools that they use to gap these, move that in and out. There is a feeler gauge set that you can get at most parts stores that have that tool tucked in here. Pull that out and that allows you to adjust the electrode. You can't take a soft soft hammer and the small one, and you can gently tap that to decrease the gap if your gap's too big. And you can use a set of needle nose pliers to get in there and pull that out if your gap's too small. The gap on this one was a little too small, but I was able to force it out with just the feeler gauges. You can do that. Alright, and one of the things I did notice is that's got a V-notch in it, so I haven't really looked at these spark plugs up close. So, and one of the other tips and tricks I'm going to have, I'm not going to show it on camera, because again, I don't have a camera guy to show me this, but you take a couple things you are going to need, and the parts store sells by the packet. Some anise, some dielectric silicone grease. So the silicone grease, a lot of people get confused when I offer this packets to them. They go on the porcelain, not on this, on the porcelain. And the reason why it goes on the porcelain is, let me pull that E3 plug out, which I didn't have this problem, but I have ran into it before. See the discoloration right here? Now, granted, that's not caused from not greasing this up, but you can definitely tell that's caused by heat. You can see the discoloration in there. I can tell you what, a brand new E3 does not have that rainbowing inside that notch. Alright, so you can definitely tell the heat of this is discoloring that. Well, what does heat do to rubber? Heat causes rubber to expand, and eventually, after it reaches a certain threshold of temperature, it melts and it will stick to this. Alright, I've ran into that problem before with both coil boots and spark plug wires. This silicone grease helps prevent that from happening. It helps prevent the rubber from sticking to it, which makes installing and taking the plugs off after heat cycles and stuff have been gone through them a lot easier. You guys ever put brand new plug wires on plugs and I'm having a hard time pushing them down, getting to hear that click? Well, the grease will actually make it a lot easier for that. So there is a reason behind using the silicone grease. Now the anise, it's actually good no matter what material your cylinder heads are made out of. Now, you can tell those cast iron cylinder heads. That is your steel, granite, iron based. Alright, so they're similar metals, not exact, they're similar, which means the chance of corrosion far lessens, but they will still corrode. Sorry about my shitty camera work. Just trying to do this all one-handed by myself because, I can't get people to come help me with this. Anyway, but putting the anise on the threads also helps prevent the threads from galling. Galling threads is kind of a bad thing, so but especially if you're using, I have not ever seen a spark plug right here made out of aluminum. Ever seen this base where the threads are made out of aluminum? Never seen it. So you're going to have aluminum cylinder heads, which are going to have aluminum threads, and you're going to put steel threads in there. The anise is a must on that to prevent the electrolysis from fusing the metals or corroding the metals together. I won't say fusing, but corroding the metals together. So yes, if you have aluminum cylinder heads, anti-seize is a must on these. So I'm going to put a little bit of anise on the threads. Make sure you don't get any up here where combustion is going to be. Just a dab on the threads. And then just a dab of the silicone grease right here before you put the plug wires in there. You can even put it in the plug wires, the grease in the plug wires before sliding this on. As long as there's a barrier of grease between here, you would be fine. So, but since I have to hold the camera with one hand, I'm not going to show you guys how to apply that stuff, but it's pretty self-explanatory. You get a tub of anise like this. It's got a brush. Just put a dab on there. You got a tube like that. Just put a dab on there, thread it in, and you're good. Now that's what a spark plug with a bit of anise looks like on it. Don't have to go overboard, but that's got a brush on it, so I just did and just brushed it gently around there. Called it good. Oh, one wire down, one spark plug down, 7 more to go. I'm not going to bore you with changing them, showing you how to change them all out, but I give you kind of the basic idea. And with these types of plug wires being female ends on both ends, I just take the silicone grease, dump a dab in there, pop them on. That's all you need. So, I'll probably end this and make this as part one, spark plug and wire removal and installation, and then we'll move it on to part two. One of the other things I'm going to do is, this is a new fan controller I got it just kind of temporarily put in. What I mean by temporarily is just enough to have a working fan to drive it for the last couple weeks, but I'm going to also do a proper install on this as well. I'm going to show you guys a few different products that I've bought to make jobs like this a bit easier as well, so stay tuned.